Case 1. Remy Cordova. On the evening of February 20, 2021, Denver's Colfax Avenue, a bustling yet familiar stretch of road, became the backdrop for an unthinkable tragedy. At the intersection with Interstate 25, a minor traffic collision between two vehicles set off a chain of events that would forever alter the lives of those involved. Pamela Cabriales, a 32-year-old real estate agent and mother, was stopped at the light when the incident occurred. What seemed like a routine traffic mishap would soon escalate into a fatal encounter. Remy Cordova, then 14 years old, was a passenger in one of the vehicles involved in the fender bender. After the collision, Cordova exited the car and, without warning, opened fire on Cabriales' vehicle using an AR-15 style rifle. He fired multiple rounds, striking Cabriales and another driver nearby. The assailants fled the scene, leaving behind a trail of devastation. Cabriales succumbed to her injuries days later, leaving behind a young son and a community in shock. Born in 2006, Remy Cordova's early life was marked by instability and trauma. Raised in a challenging environment with a history of family dysfunction, he had multiple interactions with child protection services. His father was murdered, and his mother struggled with mental illness. Despite these hardships, Cordova's actions on that fateful night were driven by a desire to impress gang members, according to prosecutors. He had been previously released from juvenile custody on weapons charges, raising questions about the adequacy of the juvenile justice system in addressing repeat offenders. Cordova was charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. Due to the severity of the crime, he was tried as an adult. In November 2024, a jury convicted him on both counts. At sentencing, Cordova maintained his innocence, stating, "I am not the monster or the murderer that I have been painted to be." However, the evidence presented led to a conviction that reflected the gravity of his actions. On December 12, 2024, Denver District Court Judge Darryl Shockley sentenced Remy Cordova to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years for first-degree murder and 8 years for attempted first-degree murder to run consecutively. As of 2025, Cordova remains incarcerated, with the earliest opportunity for parole in 2065. His case has sparked discussions about juvenile justice, gang influence, and the long-term effects of early trauma. The murder of Pamela Cabriales serves as a poignant reminder of how a single moment of violence can ripple through lives and communities. While justice has been served, the scars left behind continue to affect all those involved. Case 2. Spencer Brainer Lewis. In the early morning hours of February 12, 2017, the tranquility of a West Allis, Wisconsin neighborhood was abruptly shattered. Inside a modest home on South 89th Street, 17-year-old Trajan Edwards and his 19-year-old brother CJ were preparing for another typical day. The brothers had welcomed Spencer Lewis, a 14-year-old acquaintance, into their home on numerous occasions. To their knowledge, Lewis was just another teenager seeking companionship. That morning, Lewis arrived at the Edwards residence under the guise of playing video games. However, he had other intentions. Accompanied by a 13-year-old accomplice, Lewis had meticulously planned a robbery, aiming to steal marijuana, money, and video games. Armed with a .40 caliber Glock pistol and extra magazines, he confronted Trajan in the living room. When Trajan attempted to flee, Lewis shot him twice. As CJ intervened to protect his brother, Lewis shot him as well, continuing until the gun was empty. The brother's mother, hearing the commotion, discovered the aftermath and called 911. Trajan succumbed to his injuries 2 days later. CJ died at the scene. Lewis had been a frequent visitor at the Edwards home, often spending the night and expressing gratitude to their mother. This facade of friendship concealed his ulterior motives. According to a 13-year-old witness, Lewis had been planning the robbery for a week, believing that Trajan possessed a significant amount of marijuana and money. The tragic events unfolded as a result of this calculated betrayal. Charged as an adult, Lewis faced 2 counts of first-degree reckless homicide and 1 count of attempted armed robbery. In February 2018, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree reckless homicide and 1 count of attempted armed robbery. During sentencing, Lewis expressed remorse, stating, "I'm very sorry. I hope someday you guys can forgive me." Despite his age, the court emphasized the severity of the crime, resulting in a sentence of 34 years in prison and an additional 16 years of extended supervision. The judge remarked that the offense was unthinkable, unimaginable, disastrous, and horrific, underscoring the gravity of the situation. As of 2025, Spencer Lewis remains incarcerated, serving his sentence at a Wisconsin correctional facility. His case has been the subject of legal discussions regarding juvenile sentencing, with appeals and motions for resentencing being considered. However, the original sentence stands, reflecting the court's determination to balance justice with the potential for rehabilitation. The judge remarked that the offense was unthinkable, unimaginable, disastrous, and horrific, underscoring the gravity of the situation. As of 2025, Spencer Lewis remains incarcerated, serving his sentence at a Wisconsin correctional facility. His case has been the subject of legal discussions regarding juvenile sentencing, with appeals and motions for resentencing being considered. However, the original stand stands, reflecting the court's determination to balance justice with the potential for rehabilitation. The tragic deaths of Trajan and C.J. Edwards serve as a grim lesson of the devastating consequences of betrayal and the importance of accountability. While Spencer Lewis was a young teenager at the time of the crime, the court's decision underscores the principle that age does not absolve one from the responsibility of their actions. The Edwards family's loss is immeasurable, and their story continues to resonate as a cautionary tale. Case 3. Robert and Michael Bever. In the peaceful town of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, the Beaver family lived a secluded life. Homeschooled and isolated from the community, they were largely unknown to their neighbors. The tranquility of their neighborhood was shattered on July 22, 2015, when a horrific crime unfolded within their own home. On that fateful night, Robert Bever, 18, and his 16-year-old brother Michael executed a brutal plan they had been formulating for months. Armed with knives, they attacked their parents, David and April Bever, and 3 of their siblings, Daniel, Christopher, 7, and Victoria, 5. The victims suffered a total of 141 stab wounds. Daniel managed to call 911 before he was killed, alerting authorities to the massacre. 2 siblings survived. Crystal, 13, who was critically injured but identified her brothers as the perpetrators, and Autumn, 2, who was unharmed. The brothers' motive was chilling. They aspired to gain fame by committing a mass murder that would surpass infamous events like the Columbine High School shooting. Robert later confessed that they planned to continue their killing spree beyond their family, targeting random victims to achieve a higher body count and media attention. Following their arrest, both brothers faced serious charges. Robert Beaver pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of assault and battery with intent to kill. He was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole in September 2016. Michael Bever was tried as an adult and convicted on all charges in May 2018. He received 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 28 years for the assault on his sister. In 2021, a Supreme Court ruling allowed for the possibility of revisiting his parole eligibility, though, as of 2025, no changes have been made. As of August 2025, Robert Beaver is serving his sentences at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Michael Bever is incarcerated at the Lexington Correctional Center. The Bever brothers' crime remains one of the most disturbing family tragedies in recent U.S. history. Their desire for notoriety led to the loss of 5 innocent lives and left a community grappling with the horror of such an unimaginable act.
Case 4. Seandell Jackson. On a warm July evening in 2009, Milwaukee's River West neighborhood exuded a calm, almost cinematic tranquility. The streets were quiet, the air thick with summer humidity. For 21-year-old Nathan Potter, a University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee film student, it was just another walk home. But what should have been a peaceful end to his day would soon spiral into a nightmare. As Nathan walked toward his apartment on North Dooceman Street, he was approached by 19-year-old Seandell Jackson and his accomplice, Derek J. Thomas. The duo attempted to rob Nathan, who had no money to give. In a sudden act of violence, Jackson shot Nathan in the chest, leaving him to die on the sidewalk. The pair fled the scene, leaving behind a devastated community and a grieving family. Initially, Jackson denied involvement in the crime, claiming he didn't know the other suspects. However, detectives uncovered evidence linking him to the scene, including a Dairy Queen cup with his fingerprints found in the victim's stolen vehicle. Faced with this evidence, Jackson admitted to being present during the robbery and shooting. In February 2010, Jackson was convicted of first-degree intentional homicide and attempted robbery. During sentencing, Jackson's behavior shocked the courtroom. As the judge imposed a life sentence without parole, Jackson spat obscenities at the judge and smirked at Nathan's family. His outburst led to a physical altercation with deputies, who had to subdue him using pepper spray. The incident underscored the lack of remorse Jackson displayed for his actions. Nathan's family was left to cope with the brutal loss of their loved one. His mother, Denise Potter, expressed her anguish, recounting the horror of hearing her son's final words, "Help me." The emotional toll on the Potter family was immeasurable, as they struggled to find closure after the senseless act of violence. As of 2025, Seandell Jackson remains incarcerated at the Wisconsin Secure Program Facility. His case has sparked debates about juvenile sentencing, with some advocating for reform and reconsideration of life without parole for young offenders. However, Jackson's lack of remorse and the severity of his crime continue to fuel discussions on justice and rehabilitation. Nathan Potter's tragic death underscores the devastating consequences of one violent act. Jackson's decision to take a life not only stole a future full of potential, but shattered the peace of a community and left a family to bear the weight of sorrow. River West, once a peaceful neighborhood, would forever carry the scars of that fateful night.
Case 5. Raymond Childs, Indianapolis, Indiana. A city known for its rich cultural tapestry and close-knit communities, was rocked by an unimaginable tragedy on January 24, 2021. The Adams Street neighborhood, typically a haven of suburban tranquility, became the backdrop for one of the city's most horrific crimes. In the early hours of that morning, a devastating event unfolded within the walls of a family home, forever altering the lives of those involved and casting a long shadow over the community. At approximately 3:43 a.m., Indianapolis Metropolitan Police responded to a distress call from the 3500 block of Adams Street. Upon arrival, they discovered a 15-year-old male with multiple gunshot wounds on the porch. Before undergoing surgery, the teenager identified his older brother, Raymond Childs III, as the alleged perpetrator. According to court documents, the teen stated, "He shot them. I think they're dead." Inside the residence, authorities found the bodies of 6 victims: Raymond Childs Jr., 42, Kezzie Childs, 42, Elijah Childs, 18, Rita Childs, 13, Kiara Hawkins, 19, and her unborn child. The massacre was allegedly triggered by a dispute over Raymond III violating his curfew. Following the argument, he retrieved 2 9mm firearms and methodically moved through the house, shooting each victim in separate rooms. The surviving 15-year-old brother managed to escape and seek help at a neighbor's home. Raymond Childs III was arrested the following day at a relative's residence. He was later indicted on 6 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of unlawful possession of a handgun. His first trial in July 2024 ended in a mistrial due to a courtroom disturbance involving a witness. A retrial commenced in October 2024 and concluded after 5 days with a guilty verdict on all charges. On March 10, 2025, Childs was sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences, totaling 360 years, without the possibility of parole. The sentencing highlighted the gravity of the offenses and the profound impact on the victims' families. As of August 2025, Raymond Childs III remains incarcerated in a maximum security facility in Indiana. His 360-year sentence ensures that he will spend the remainder of his life behind bars, serving as a somber reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and violence. The tragedy on Adams Street shows the fragility of family bonds and the catastrophic potential of unresolved conflicts. While justice has been served, the scars left on the Indianapolis community and the surviving family members are indelible. The echoes of that fateful night continue to resonate, urging reflection on the importance of communication, understanding, and the need for intervention before anger escalates into irreversible actions. Case 6. Ethan Crumbly, Oxford, Michigan. A small, close-knit town known for its tree-lined streets and strong community ties was forever changed on November 30, 2021. Oxford High School, a place where students gathered to learn and grow, became the site of a tragic school shooting that left 4 students dead and 7 others injured. The shooter was 15-year-old Ethan Crumbly, a sophomore whose life, once seemingly ordinary, spiraled into a nightmare that would devastate his community. On that fateful day, Ethan Crumbly entered Oxford High School with a 9mm Sig Sauer handgun purchased by his father just days earlier. At approximately 12:51 p.m., he began shooting in the school's south hallway, killing 4 students and injuring 7 others, including a teacher. The chaos was swift and terrifying, with students and staff scrambling for safety. Ethan was apprehended within minutes by a school resource officer and later charged with multiple counts, including first-degree murder and terrorism. Ethan Crumbly was born on April 28, 2006, in Florida. His family moved to Oxford, Michigan in 2014. Reports indicate that Ethan faced emotional and social challenges, including depression and social isolation. He had been exhibiting concerning behaviors, such as drawing violent images and expressing feelings of hopelessness. Despite these signs, his parents reportedly did not seek professional help for him. Following the shooting, Ethan Crumbly was charged as an adult and in October 2022 pleaded guilty to all charges. In December 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His parents, James and Jennifer Crumbly, were also charged with involuntary manslaughter for their role in providing access to the firearm and failing to intervene despite warning signs. In April 2024, they were sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. The Oxford High School shooting prompted national discussions on gun control, parental responsibility, and school safety. The community of Oxford continues to heal, honoring the memories of the victims and striving to prevent such tragedies in the future. Ethan Crumbly is currently serving his life sentence at the Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee, Michigan. His parents, James and Jennifer Crumbly, are incarcerated in separate facilities. James at the Bellamy Creek Correctional Facility and Jennifer at the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility. This case remains a clear reminder of the importance of vigilance, communication, and responsibility in safeguarding our communities.
Before we dive into Case 7, Aiden Fucci, let me quickly address something from the previous episode. While narrating Caden Zelmer's case, a photo of Aiden Fucci was mistakenly used during one scene. That mix-up caused a bit of confusion, and I appreciate those who pointed it out. Now, to set the record straight, this episode will focus entirely on the case of Aiden Fucci, his background, the crime, and the court's decision. With that cleared up, let's turn our full attention to Aiden Fucci, a case that shocked many and raised serious questions about youth, violence, and justice. In the serene neighborhood of Durbin Crossing, St. Johns County, Florida, life unfolded at a gentle pace. The community felt safe. Among its residents was 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, a vibrant middle schooler and cheerleader known for her kindness and energy. Her life was tragically cut short on May 9, 2021, when she was murdered by her 14-year-old classmate, Aiden Fucci. On that fateful night, Tristan was last seen walking with Fucci around 1:45 a.m. Surveillance footage later showed Fucci running alone, barefoot, in the opposite direction. Her body was discovered hours later in a wooded area, bearing 114 stab wounds, 49 of which were defensive, indicating a desperate struggle. Fucci was arrested the following day after evidence, including bloody clothing and a knife, was found at his home. Investigations revealed disturbing details about Fucci's past. He had previously expressed violent fantasies to friends, including plans to stab someone. His ex-girlfriend reported that he often carried a knife and spoke of hearing voices that told him he was worthless. These revelations painted a chilling picture of a troubled youth with a penchant for violence. Initially charged with second-degree murder, Fucci's charge was upgraded to first-degree murder after further investigation. In February 2023, just before trial, he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. On March 24, 2023, at age 16, Fucci was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Due to his status as a juvenile, his sentence is eligible for review after 25 years. The murder of Tristan Bailey left an indelible mark on her family and the community. Her mother, Stacey Bailey, delivered a poignant victim impact statement, describing the profound loss and expressing doubt about Fucci's potential for rehabilitation. The case prompted changes in Florida law regarding the disclosure of crime scene photographs of minors. As of 2025, Aiden Fucci, now 18, is incarcerated at the Sewanee Correctional Institution in Florida. In January 2025, he was transferred to a different facility within the Florida Department of Corrections system. His appeal against the life sentence was denied in July 2025, affirming the original ruling.
That's the latest on the Aiden Fucci case. More true crime stories are coming your way soon, so stay tuned. All details and images in this video are based on public information and remain alleged unless proven otherwise.